Hi everyone. Um, I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I wasn't really sure how to make the video. Um, but I mean it's not really and it's not anything so that anyone has been asking. It's just kind of like a little journal for me. Um, so hi, it's Asteroid here, aka Aaron. Um, if you don't know me, which I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you probably do. Um, I stream on Twitch. Mostly Last of Us Part 2. I speedrun it. Um, but I used to speedrun Last of Us Part 1. That's the game that I started with. I say that as if it was a long time ago, but really I started speedrunning in June, I think. Like very early June. Um, and for a long time it was really fun. There was at the very tail end of the of the couple streams that I did, at the very tail end of the last streams that I did of part one. It was it was a high point. Not only for me, but I feel like just for my mental well being. Um, when I got my first run submitted to speedrun, it was a dream come true, truly, and it was a 3:38:40, I think. And obviously it was terrible, it was an easy new game run, but for me it was the proudest thing I had ever done, just because I had never done anything like that before. But I kept grinding at it, and for a month, could not get a PB that I was satisfied with. I could not get a run going, so I kept resetting and resetting and resetting and resetting and resetting and resetting and continuously resetting and taking a 2 week break, but continuing to practice for hours and hours and hours and hours, like literally every single waking moment. If I wasn't like doing something with my family, I was in the basement grinding it out on part one. And um I mean I had always enjoyed part one. I had done multiple playthroughs offline. um I only did one playthrough on my Twitch channel, but I had done by that time more than 15 playthroughs on my own time before I ever started live streaming. And I mean, after that, I got a couple more PBs. um but then there was a small point where for a week or two, it was just PB after PB after PB. It was like four PBs in a row, and each of them just kept cutting and cutting and cutting time. And it was clear that I was improving. Um, but even during those highs, even during that small high at the tail end of that, in the last 3 or 4 days, um, something just kept weighing me down, and I still can't explain it to this day. I don't know what it is, but something inside of me was getting burnt out. Something was. I wasn't happy doing part one runs. Even when I got my last PB, I wasn't happy with it. I'm still not happy with it. I'm still not happy with how I left it. I'll come back to it one day, but the way that I left, always kind of hurt me, and it seems kind of like a ridiculous thing to say because I'm very happy with part two, and it's brought me a lot more joy than part one ever did. But um, that last PB that I got, it's like a 307.50. Um, when I got that last PB, and I couldn't get a PB after that, I don't know, just something inside of me, the flame that I had ignited, the excitement that I had kind of just burnt out. And it was weird because it was only a month and a half to 2 months that I speedran this game. I did not speedrun for a long time. Um, but even then, my drive just my head wasn't in it. It wasn't in the game. No matter how many times I tried to beat what seemingly should have been a simple PB to beat because most of the sections were performed poorly, um, I just couldn't do it. I could not get a good run going. I could not for an entire week. It was nothing but yelling, throwing things, practicing. I mean, after those streams, during that week, multiple nights I did not sleep. I did not sleep, and it was just grinding and grinding and grinding downtown, financial, the ranch, science lab. I mean, this was a game that I literally just wanted to grind out till the very end. And when I left, part one, you know, it was just kind of a bittersweet feeling. Um, on and again, I know this is a ridiculous video because I'm obviously very happy with part two. I've gotten so much enjoyment out of grinding out part two. It's just such a fantastic game. I mean, so is part one, but part two really just brings a special level of joy to me that I haven't felt really in years. I mean, I can't even remember how happy I was compared to how happy I am now. But I'll get into that a little bit later. When I left part one, um, on one hand, I was happy, but on the other hand, something inside of me just said this isn't right. And I randomly switched to part two. What had happened was that my internet was broken, and so I decided to grind part two very light strats that on my own time I would just record the video since I couldn't stream and upload them to the YouTube channel. And um, you know, uh, what am I trying to say? Leaving part one like that, even after a month of grinding part two, really just something is still nagging me saying come back to part one. It's I don't know. It's weird, right? Because it's not like I've been doing this for years. I mean, I only did it for 2 months and I left. I was done. Um, but really, maybe even without recognizing it, my mental health was just absolute shit with part one. I mean, just absolute fucking dog down the clog, into the toilet, into the sewers of hell. I mean, really, it was just bad. And it's because I just always raged and I always hated myself for not being as good as I expected myself to be. And I really just was so pissed because I would grind for literal hours to to um to make sure that I was at the peak level. I was at peak level, peak performance. I mean, I would literally warm up for 2 hours just to make sure that I was ready. And for example, downtown, downtown was truly the place that I grinded the most. Truly, I probably spent more than 30 to 40 hours just in that section practicing the downtown fight. And um, you know, um, I literally practiced it so much that my fingers had no feeling anymore. Like literally, my hands fell asleep. That's how routine it was in my head. That's how like how ingrained it was in my head. The muscle memory that I had from performing the downtown strat was so strong that my hands literally fell asleep, and I had to like punch like the wall to get my hand up and running again. Like just being able to feel something because that's how ingrained downtown fight was in my head. I did not have to blink. I did not have to, get anxious. It was all just muscle memory. And yet I never, ever, ever could get a good downtown and then get a good museum. Or get a good downtown and then get a good capital. Or get a good downtown and get a good Billstown. You know, and when I left part one, and I started grinding out part two, and then I started streaming part two, And then I started running part two just what, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Um, I have felt great, honestly. I really don't know how to put it into words, but I feel great running part two. And it's not just because it's not an entire game. I mean, really, that isn't it, because part two is of gameplay just 2.5 hours. I mean, 2 hours and about 2 hours and 20 minutes. My current PB is 2:19:47. Um, but about 2 hours and 20 minutes. So it's not because the game is about 40 or to 50 minutes shorter than part one, at least you know, according to my last PB. Um, it really was that I felt confident for the first time. I felt like there was not a single section that I had to worry about. That there wasn't something that I didn't know. For the first time, I felt like I was actually good at something. Because for a long time in part one, I didn't feel that way. And I still don't feel that way. I still don't feel like I'm actually really good at part two, one. I still feel like there's still quite a lot to improve on. And in part two, that's the same thing. There's still quite a bit to improve on, but at least I still feel confident in my abilities. I feel confident to pull out a good run, even when there are unfortunate missteps. Just to the earlier stream today or yesterday, depending on when I upload this. In this case, yesterday, it's already 1:03 a.m. Um, Yesterday's stream, there were so many missteps in my run, so many missteps that cost me quite a lot of time, and yet I was able to pull a 3 second PB out of my ass, and that's, well, I definitely wasn't happy with that PB, and it was definitely very frustrating for me to come out with that kind of PB, knowing how good I am at this game and knowing how much time and dedication I've put into the combat strats that I've developed or developed alongside with some other speedrunners like Scarlet the Human, Anthony Caliber, Kantal, Will the Wisp, all of them fantastic streamers, ABZ, really all have either kept my mental health up or helped me develop strats for Last of Us Part 2 alongside them. Or I've simply just, had some strats from Survivor transfer over to Very Light, maybe in slightly modified ways, but definitely strats, were viable and were still the most efficient route. And you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is, leaving part one was always something that I was gonna do. I just never expected it to be so soon, and it was because my mental health was just, it was dog shit, man. I don't know how else to put it. My mental health was just pure dog shit. My mental health was just rock bottom, because every single time I streamed, I could not get a good run up. And if I got a PB, I was never satisfied with it because my performance was bad. It was just one section where I could pull the whole PB out of my ass. I mean, it literally happened with my last PB. Every single section was plus 1 minute. By the time I got to coal mine, it was plus a minute and 40 seconds. And when I got to coal mine, I pulled it out of my ass. I I I had by far the best coal mine I ever did. I saved, not only did I save 2 minutes from what I had from my best time, but I cut it by an additional 30 seconds. But there's just a certain dissatisfaction that comes with that, because you're saying, I didn't really have a good run. I didn't really perform well. That wasn't a PB to me. That's not a personal best. You know, that's just a great performance that I had in one section, and that's about it. Because everywhere else was absolute garbage. Um, so again, I know this is just kind of silly because it's not like anyone's asking where did the part one runs go. It's just kind of something I wanted to get out there, and I'm not someone who's gonna shy away for their mental health from a long time, and then come back and say, oh, here's what happened, here's why I left for 2 weeks, here's why I haven't been streaming or whatever. I always want to be very open and clear that if I don't stream or something, I will let you know why. Whether it's in my Twitter at Tommy underscore Ariaga 24, or whether it's making a short video on Twitch, or maybe it's uploading a video like this to YouTube. I always want you to know that I will always be transparent with you. If my mental health is down and I cannot or do not want to stream or film a video or upload a video, it's not because I'm lazy. It's truly because something just isn't alive to me. When I don't stream, when I don't upload videos, um, even though I have quite a bit of videos already scheduled, it's because I'm not feeling it in me. And the last thing I want to do is make it seem like I'm being a faker. I don't want any stupid ass drama. I don't want any stupid ass theories. I don't want any stupid ass media, even though I'm not popular. I don't want none of that bullshit to ever be in the way of the community and me. I want it to be an honest I always want myself to be as honest as I can with my community, which is obviously y'all. Um, and that's why I'm making this video, just to let you know, even though you didn't ask, this is why I left part 1. This is why I've been having so much running part 2. This is why I've been making sure that I do my homework as soon as possible and stream. And even though sometimes it may be a late stream, it's not because I want it to be a late stream. And it's not and if I don't stream, it's sometimes it's literally just time limitations, but other times it's because I'm practicing. But you know, when I stream and you see me streaming more often, I want you to know that it's not because I hate part 1. It's just that part 2 brings me a joy that I never felt with part 1. Part 2 brings me so much joy. It, I guess something else that I can kind of dive into here is that, part 2 made me feel like I had earned my place in the speedrunning community. In part 1, the strats were already developed. The strats were already there. All right, literally it was at my fingertips. All I had to do was practice and get a good running going, which is a lot easier than it sounds. Um, but I still had the strats handed to me. And part 2, is it easier? Yes. And are the strats easier to develop? Yes. It's mostly just a running strat, a running game. But even then, there's just a certain satisfaction that comes with part 2. And, it seeing people use my strat, like the hospital strat, I don't like it because I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I'm the fucking best. I'm a fucking god. Only I could think of that shit. It's not because of that. It's because I am happy to see that people respect me, and they respect me enough to say, just to use the strat, right? Um, it, it brings me joy that other people are able to use it, and that it brings me satisfaction of I've earned, or I'm still trying to earn, and I hope that I have earned to many, my place in the speedrunning community, because I don't want to be a colossal asshat who comes in here and tries to, wreck everything and impose his own rules and, think that what the mods are doing are bullshit or whatever. No, I want to be just a genuine good person who helps other people in a speedrunning kind of way, which is weird, but nothing about my life is not weird. But I also want to be a person, who people respect, who people not in a way of like, oh, this guy's like fucking godly, but just as like, he's a good guy, he's just a good person. Um, he's a good speedrunner. Like that's it. I just had been seeking acceptance from the community for a long time, and I felt like part 1 wasn't bringing that, and I think part 2, in a subconscious way, was a way of bringing that to life, and it's definitely brought me a lot of satisfaction to know that that I feels like I've earned my place in the community. That if I give advice, it actually makes sense, and it's coming from, it doesn't come off as a as a colossal asshat kind of way, but someone as who genuinely just wants to answer a question that someone might have a part two, right? You know, whether it's timing or how you do a strat, or just is there a way that we can improve the strat, or stuff like that. I mean, that's really just the kind of that's really just something that I've always kind of wanted, not just from this community, but I feel like in this world, there's just I've been in a lot of places, and I never felt like I belonged in any place that I've ever been. From my elementary school in Dallas to my elementary school in Wichita, to the clubs that I was in middle school, to who I even was in middle school, I didn't feel like I could accept myself. To high school, I felt not only rejected, but the kind of shit that happened to me there, the racism, you know, the 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 ignorance, the bullying, the constant berating from my own views, despite them just trying to be, despite them not coming from a place of hate, but me having my views from a place of love and helping all people I can. I never felt accepted. Um, Not even in college. In college, I've always felt like just in this past year that in my first year of college, I felt like I was alone. I feel like I didn't have anyone for me in school. I feel like for me at the university, it was just myself, and everything that happened to me, I had to fight with just me alone. Even at the clubs that I was involved in, that I was super excited about, even then did I not feel accepted. Even there I was not comfortable, and I did not feel accepted. And even to this day I still don't. But the speedrunning in the Last of Us community, from the Ant Colony to Icodin, from Timrock to Willow, from Scarlet the Human to ABZ, all these streamers and so many more, you know, and the speedrunning community, not just these folks who play TLOU casually or whatever, but also the speedrunning folks like the ones that I just mentioned. Um, this community has really, with part two, has really made me feel like if there was ever a community that I would want to die with, or I would let know first, it would be this community, because this community I feel accepted for who I am. I feel heard for what I say and when I say it. And I feel respected, not just as a person, as a speedrunner, and as someone who just loves The Last of Us. And that's really all I've ever wanted in my life. Just to be accepted for who I am. Doesn't matter that I'm Mexican. Doesn't matter that I'm fat. Doesn't matter that I have an accent. Doesn't matter that I'm loud. Doesn't matter that I can't see for shit. Doesn't matter that I'm weird. Doesn't matter that I have Tourette's. None of that matters to the folks. To y'all. Y'all accept me for who I am. And I truly will never, ever, ever be able to tell y'all how grateful I am. Because you saved me from a dark place. For a long time, I was in a dark place, and y'all saved me. And speedrunning part 2 really has brought in a lot of joy. So thank you. This turned out quite a rambly video. 24 fucking minutes, and I'm not cutting any of this shit out, because I am a lazy ass motherfucker who also can't edit for shit. So, yeah. That's why I left part 1. That's why I love part 2. That's why I love this community. All the communities. And I don't even mention so many others like Sully, And, my teacher Ryan, who, goes under the name Mongok Stomp. His name is weird. Um, just let me pull up a few others. P-Dub, Pakorka, and so many more who have all just made these past couple months great. Um, might not want to show my card on camera. Um, they've made y'all have made these couple months great. Y'all have made them livable. You've made them exciting by sticking along with me for the ride. You've made them full of great moments, some really funny moments, some very mad moments as well. I think we all know which video I'm talking about. But yeah. Okay. I rambled on for another 2 minutes. This is a long ass video. One that I not think I would make today. But I was like, I feel like I gotta say something about part one and part two and my mental health and all this shit. And I wanted to be transparent with y'all because I don't want some stupid ass, weird ass drama to get in the fucking way of all this shit. The last thing I want is to get involved in some stupid ass stuff that literally doesn't make any fucking sense. So that's why I'm making this video. That's why I'm being 100% transparent. As you can see, my fucking hands are blown out because my camera is dog shit. Yeah. So I guess I'll catch y'all in the next part 2 stream where hopefully we get a better than a 3-second PB. Alright. Bye.